All right, everyone, it is Friday. And what's that mean? Manufacturing e-commerce success. I'm one of your hosts, Damon Pistolka, and this good-looking guy right over here is Curt Anderson. We're going to take it away today. We're going to be talking about a true story of women manufacturing leadership. We got Kathy Miller here today. Curt, my friend, partner, take it away, man.
Hey, Damon, happy Friday, brother. What an amazing, gorgeous day. But I tell you, this is the best time of year. You know, it's like if you're a sports fan, like there's all sorts of sports going on.
So much happening.
Leaves are changing. It's just, it's just best time. Now, just for our program today, people can't see this, but Damon and I came prepared. Damon, I know you've got your steel toes on today. I've got my stilettos on, and we are ready to rock and are you guys sitting down out there? So, hey, happy Friday. Thank you for joining us today. If anybody's out there, man, drop us a note, drop us a hello here. We have Kathy Miller in the house. Kathy, first off, I want to thank you for having such an easy, simple name because I practiced all week, but I think I got that right. Kathy Miller, happy Friday. How are you today?
We are doing great. How are you, Curt?
Man, I couldn't be any better than this moment right here, right now. So this has been long on our list. We've been watching you from afar. We are just so excited to have you on the program. So, all right. Kathy, you sit back and relax for 1 second because, Damon, I want to read off a couple of things here about our dear friend, Kathy Miller, okay? Let's take a look here. So, all right, first off, Damon, I know like we have All-Stars week in and week out. Did you know we have a Hall of Famer today?
I know.
Women in Manufacturing Hall of Famer, one and only Kathy Miller here. But let me rattle off some of the positions that Kathy Miller has held over her illustrious career. Kathy, are you ready for this? Project engineer, senior marketing manager, senior engineering supervisor, operations manager, global lean manufacturing leader, plant manager, global director. I have to catch my breath. She's worked at companies like General Motors, Delphi, Parker Hannifin, Rolls-Royce. What was the last one you worked at? Vertiv, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. And Kathy, what an amazing, incredible career. Yeah. My first question for you today, as a little girl growing up, who was your hero? Who was your hero growing up that created this monster of a career? Who was your hero, please?
Honestly, when I was growing up, it was my parents.
Nice. All right.
They really were very wonderful people, very giving people, generous people, made sure that all of us kids had an opportunity to get an education and be confident in ourselves. So it was pretty close to home, my heroes.
Awesome. Mom and dad's name, please.
Greg and Diane Fischel.
Well, hey, Diane and Craig, is that what we said?
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. Well, big shout out to them for just this monster success that you've created. So, all right, let's slide into the next step. Okay. You've done an amazing job. You go off to college. I'd love for you to share a little bit about this. You had this wonderful story. You were going to take a psychology path. You decided to go into industrial engineering. Do I have that correct?
Yes, that's right.
What led you into this path of industrial engineering as a young lady?
So it's actually just really based on the realities of life. So I wanted to study psychology, and my dad was concerned about me being able to take care of myself on a bachelor's degree and needing a PhD to be able to do that. And so I was putting myself through college. So he recommended something that would allow me to go, straight into a very stable and just really a good career path straight out of my bachelor's degree. Right. So I said, I want to be a psychologist. And he was like, and then I said, okay, I'll be a lawyer. And he said, well, honey, it's not really like the paper chase. And I said, well,
yeah.
You remember that show? I love that show. And I'm like, well, what can I be? And he said, well, you're good at math and science. How about an engineer? So at the time I had been receiving, the literature from the different colleges about, coming, and he had actually had a neighbor growing up that went to GMI. It's so funny. And when I got the brochure, he said, oh, that's a great school and you should apply to that. It's now Kettering University, but it used to be General Motors Institute.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, Daddy, I already threw away the brochure. I've already been accepted at 4 colleges. We're good to go. He made me dig it out of the trash. And we moved from Rochester to Kansas City in my senior year of high school. And I got a call. You have to have a co-op experience to go there. It's a 5-year school, and you go to school as an intern and in 2.5 years. And so I got a call from the assembly plant in Kansas City and asked me to come in for an interview. I went in and did a 4-hour interview. They called the next day and offered me a job. And he was like, yeah, take it. It was just, all sort of fell pretty easily for me. So I've reframed my career aspirations in terms of I really got to practice psychology and law along the way in manufacturing without the formal degree.
Yeah. What better psychology experience than managing manufacturing businesses or operations? It's just that you've got to get people working together.
I love people and processes. I really do.
Yeah.
So it ended up being just an amazing career for me. And I eventually went back to get my degree in psychology. I was still on my bucket list. So, since I was able to have a stable career and support myself, I thought, I'm just going to indulge myself and study that even at this advanced age.
Man, that is perfect. And we're going to talk more about that advanced degree because we are super excited what you just did. And that was a recent congratulations to you. But again, big hello. Happy Friday, everybody. We've got Whitney, we've got Gail, Gary Wood, who's in Rochester, New York. So, hey, happy Friday to you guys. We've got we have a Hall of Famer here, woman in manufacturing. And Kathy, it really begs the question. So you talked about, why you chose industrial engineering, how you slid into, General Motors, kind of kickstarted your career. Mm-hmm. Did you ever think, as a young person, maybe when you're in college, and obviously if you're going to industrial engineering, you're heading that way. But, at the time, did you think were there a lot of opportunities for women in manufacturing? What was kind of your mindset at that time?
There are so many opportunities for women in manufacturing. As a matter of fact, what I've learned over the years is there's room for everybody in manufacturing.
Yes.
People of all educational levels, skill sets. I'm so passionate about it for that reason. It can be the most inclusive industry and career out there.
Right.
So
if I can interject real quick, at the time, so obviously, today it's there's a huge push. There's a renaissance for manufacturing. At the time, I'm not going to call it anybody's age, but, I think we're in college at same time-ish. But at the time, did you feel like you were a little bit of a pioneer kind of going in, or as you came into the industry, did you find were you embraced? Were there mentors? Who kind of helped you pave your path? Could you share early, 21, 22, fresh out of college, you're at General Motors. What was that experience like for you?
Absolutely. Now that I look back at it in retrospect, I guess it was more like a pioneer, but at the time for me, it was just my environment. So it felt very normal to me. I started a vehicle assembly plant. I was literally the only young female in this large operation. There were women in administration. There were some women in supervision, a few people in the instrument panel department, but I really was. But you know what? I grew up with all brothers.
Yeah.
And so I was almost always the only female in the room and everything. So I didn't really think about it. I never really made that big of an issue about it.
Yeah.
It was a little bit rougher environment back in the day than it is now.
Yeah.
But my dad was always, I tell a story in the book about I went for the interview and at the plant and people, this was so funny. He drove me because I was 17 years old. My dad literally drove me. And, I go through this 4 hours of interviews and they're like, would you like to see the plant? And I said, I would love to. And they said, how about the guy who's been waiting in the lobby all day? Would he like to go on the plant floor? And I'm like, let's ask him, Daddy, do you want to go? So, we go out in the plant and people are
awesome
and hollering and my elbow is literally intertwined with my dad as we're walking down the main aisle and people are whistling and catcalling. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way in the world this man is going to let me work here. And, when they called me, he's like, Kathy, they don't mean anything by it. They're assembling cars. They're bored. You're walking through. Don't let it get to you. So I never really thought about being the only female in the room. And I was through so many decades, unless someone else called attention to it.
Right. So again, I love your humility, but giving you, more credit than what you really deserve, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
you were a pioneer, you had thick skin, because a lot of people might not have tolerated, some of the comments or what have you, but like, you really, it sounded like not only did you shine, you just thrived in a particularly difficult, potentially difficult environment, and it wasn't even affecting you. It was just, and you thrived through it, right?
Yeah. I mean, there were some hard times. I would say
Yeah.
there were some situations that were tough, but I was always able to navigate through them through, like you said, people who really looked out for me. I
Yeah.
had a lot of great mentors and allies through the years, people
Yeah.
who were just so kind to me and helped pick me up when, there may be a
Right.
rough or inappropriate situation too,
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know what, and I'm going off script a little bit. I'd love to hit that right there. So let's say that there's a young person, all right, say there's a more seasoned person that's been around, a veteran, again, our age-ish, if you're, whatever of age.
Mhm.
And, what are some things that were those mentors that really took you under their wing or really helped you thrive? What do you have any tips or advice for mentors today of how they could help the younger folks be more embraced in manufacturing, or women in manufacturing? Any advice for the mentors?
Yeah, I think that for me, the most important thing for a mentor is to, first of all, be a role model,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
act the way that you think would be successful for your mentee. But I would also employ what I call tough love.
Yeah.
So, you want them to be successful. You're vested in what they want to do, but you also have to be honest with your mentees about, living in their strengths, but what's appropriate and what will help them survive and thrive in the business world. So you
Mhm.
can't always tell them what they want to hear.
Right. Okay. Great advice. Absolutely love that. So I'd like to slide into, again, I rattled off, a lot of your positions that you've carried through, through, again, this amazing, incredible career. Can you just talk about like that corporate climb? What was it like for you, like for each new position, and like as you kept taking on more responsibility? And, again, you're still a young person, you're in your 20s and you're climbing, rising. Just share a little bit of like, what was that like for your perspective?
I always worked really hard in the job I was in, and I
Yeah.
didn't have that end goal in mind that, oh, I want to be CEO of General Motors someday, or I want to be,
Mhm.
chairman of a board. I always had the attitude that I would excel if I just did a really great job where I was. And I didn't get too caught up in what the title was. I just always wanted more and more responsibility and to contribute more and lead more people. So I think the one job that I really wanted badly, that really did occupy a lot of my thoughts, was when I got to be a plant manager at Delphi.
Yeah.
Oh
So I
yeah.
had been a manufacturing superintendent. They called me in and said, "Kathy, you're going to the lean team." And I I was flabbergasted. I was like, I thought I was doing a good job. Why are you sidelining me into this special assignment? And they were like, "No, no, no. We're going to go lean all the way. There's no
Yeah.
plan B. We want to take our future plant managers and make sure they're in this." So it wasn't always up, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it was sideways, and sometimes it was one step back to go two steps forward. And those, they play on your mind a little bit, right? Because people always ask, what happened? And so you just got to keep your ego in check. And if you trust your organization and they really want you to get the good developmental assignments, you have to go along with some of those. But it always did feel good when you got that recognition and promotion. I'm not going to lie. It
Yeah.
really felt good.
Well, and people may not dig through your profile and look at stuff, but I'm an old engineer nerd, right? I look at some of your stuff, and some of the things that you did that are just remarkable in your career is, I forget which position, one of your earlier positions, where you reduced the defect rate down into single parts per million. And if
Mhm.
people have never did high volume manufacturing, you do not know how hard that is.
Right.
That is like, it's like climbing all 7 peaks in the world without oxygen and not stubbing your toe. It's like, I mean, literally that hard. Am I wrong, Kathy?
It is so hard. It's easier to go from 40 to 20 than 9 to
Oh,
8.
oh,
You
it's
know,
insane. It's
It's
insane. I saw
so
that.
hard. You have to look at every single incident. People have to understand structured problem solving and getting to the root cause and getting past the, ego of who did what. It's not,
Yeah.
no, this is about processes, not about people. And at that time I was in automotive. And
Yeah.
the biggest failure you could ever have would be to shut down an automotive assembly plant. So
Yep.
there was always this luring, okay, not only do I have to fix this, but I have to do it quickly, because you don't want that on your record, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that I retired from corporate world without ever having shut down a vehicle assembly plant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's like
Congrats.
one of my biggest things, but it was really hard.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was
In
really
one of my
difficult.
earlier roles, I was doing it for electronics and in vehicle assembly too. And it's like you said, it's, the parts per million's got to go down because you never want to shut a line down in any of those places. That's for sure. That's so
No.
cool. Then another one you did a 30% reduction in lead time. That's crazy cool.
Yeah.
Using lean and stuff. You were applying these things and I can look at your history and I can see why you continue to be able to move up and develop and add more value, because these are just some pretty amazing things that you did.
Well, thank you. I was surrounded by really great people. I always had teams of amazing people. I always tried to assemble people who had strengths that I didn't have on my teams and just remove roadblocks for them.
Yeah. So much fun. So
Awesome.
cool.
Well, we've got some great comments here.
We do.
Gail's dropping some great comments here. We've got Whitney giving a shout out. And Gail says, we often do a disservice to our young girls when we there's a cost and we still have hurdles and we can't sugarcoat it. So again, Gail, man, if you're not connected with Kathy, you guys absolutely
you guys
you need to connect with Whitney. She's an absolute rock star. So anybody out there, drop us a note. You definitely want to connect with Kathy. Do yourself a favor, grab her book. It is just a blockbuster book. We're going to dig into the book in a minute, but I'm going to go through your career a little bit further before we jump into the book, Kathy. So, okay, you work for General Motors, you work for Delphi. Mm-hmm. Let's skip ahead to Rolls-Royce. That's a really cool name, if you will. What was it like when you left? And talk about that transition when you went to Rolls-Royce. What was that like?
So I had been working at Parker Hannifin at the time and running a division for them. And I got a call from a recruiter. It was a 9-month process between the first call from the recruiter and when I joined Rolls-Royce.
Wow.
What I was really attracted to Rolls-Royce about was they were investing hundreds of millions of dollars in their Indianapolis operations to revitalize them, the infrastructure, and put in advanced manufacturing technologies.
Nice.
And I was so excited to work for a company who is investing in manufacturing in the USA. I feel a huge amount of gratitude to American manufacturing because that's where I grew up, and everything I have in my life and what I've been able to provide for my family has been because of that. Yeah. So even though I've worked with manufacturing all over the world in the things that I've done, and there's so many just amazing people who are bettering their lives through careers in manufacturing, I've got a soft spot for the USA manufacturing. And so it was wonderful to get to be part of that transformation for that organization.
That was, man, that was so good, Kathy. That was just awesome. Now, you had a global director position. Share a little bit, like from a global perspective, some like maybe fascinating things that you saw through your career, going to other countries, what you were able to bring back here, maybe something shocking over there that was either positive or maybe negative, or some things that you brought back. Like, what was that? So for folks that, if you're a small manufacturer, 20, 30, 40 employees, maybe they're unable to have that global perspective. What were some things that you saw that you might share with that smaller manufacturer?
I think that I've been in plants in over 24 countries.
Nice.
Large plants, small plants, all different types of products. And I think the thing that I really loved about it was that people want to learn. It was rare because in that one global role that I had, I was the VP of lean and quality for the whole company. Okay. And so it was rare that it's sort of an auditing role, and people tend to push auditors off, because they think you're coming to find things that are
Right.
wrong.
Right.
And as long as I approached it that I just wanted them to get better and have more competitive environments so their children and their children could work there if they wanted to, people were so gracious. They were just so gracious with their time and wanting to learn all over the world. And so I think for me, there's just this common desire globally for people to find meaning in their work. And as long as you can provide that, people are going to give you their discretionary efforts.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, go ahead, Damon.
Discretionary effort. That is getting that whole heart and mind in the job and in the efforts rather than just their body. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yep. People have a lot more to offer than just their hands.
Yeah.
Right. They've got their heads and their hearts as well.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be in leadership in manufacturing or any leadership, really, it's how do you engage people and allow them to come and contribute with the very best of their unique gifts and talents, regardless of the role or title that they're in.
So what I'm hearing is, industrial engineer by trade, psychologist by spirit and in heart, right? So it sounds like just understand, it's all about the people. It's all about the relationship. So again, as we look, as Damon's dissecting your career, there was a relentless drive to keep doing better. I love that. It was easier to go from 40 to 20 than 9 to 8. I think, is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that. I know Gary Wood, that you love that. Gary's a operations lean guy. And so, but, talk a little bit about, how do I want to phrase this? When you went from your transition from your career, you decided to go back to get your master's degree finally in psychology. We were talking about that a little bit before we went live. And I know you're busy, you're a family person, career. How did you find time to put pause and go back to get your master's degree? And why? Like, what lit the fire for you? And of all places, you went to Penn, for goodness gracious. You have an Ivy League master's degree at Penn, and you get your what was it? It was an applied positive psychology degree.
Yeah.
Talk about what inspired you to do that.
So very practically, I was working with a coach, and I was at Rolls-Royce, and we were getting very close to finishing that transformation project.
Yeah.
And the team did such an amazing job with that. And she said, "What do you want to do next?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Maybe run. I don't know. Maybe I'll go work for civil aerospace instead of defense." And she said, "Kathy, do you really need more global operations experience to light your fire? Have you not shown people that you can run big global manufacturing operations? What do you want to do with your life? You're only going to be here once, And that's really thought-provoking. And I really took some time to think about it. And over Christmas, I had a little bit of time off, and I found that I was reading all these books that were just giving me so much energy. And I started to look at the authors' backgrounds, and they all pointed back to Penn, right? They were all from professors at Penn or graduates of Penn. And so I decided to look into it and found the master's in applied positive psychology. And I talked to my husband about it. And I said, I know this is possibly crazy at this stage of my career, but I would really love to go back to school. And I'm so blessed with such a supportive husband. And so I applied, and I think probably people did think I was a little bit crazy, but it was a life-changing experience for me. And I highly recommend, no matter where you are in life, if you can find a way to do something on your bucket list. I'd wanted to do that since I was 17. Yeah. And learn about something you're really passionate about. It's such a blessing. It's changed my life. And so I left Rolls-Royce. I went back to school. I wrote a thesis about creating efficacious manufacturing, through meaningful work, positive workplace relationships, and optimism. And now I work with a lot of companies to do that. So it's been great. It's been amazing. And all the experiences I had from the earlier companies really helped build that experience and that framework. There's nothing anybody can tell me that's going to shock me. when I go on a plant floor, nothing. And so I'm able to, you frame those decades of being in and around manufacturing with the science of human flourishing. And it's just amazing what it unleashes.
Oh man.
I gotta imagine that anybody else in the program was like, oh no, because you have so much life experience behind this because of the manufacturing experience, that when it came time to, your thesis and everything, that it just brought things together for you.
There were so many amazing people in this program. I can't tell you, from all walks of life and all wanting to make a positive difference in the world through, the science of thriving.
Yeah.
And so, there was a prima ballerina in there, and lots of coaches and lawyers and psychologists. And it was just so amazing to get with people in different walks of life, because I've worked in one, pretty homogeneous type of environment.
Yeah, man. And just the energy, and just the, like you're in the name of the degree, the positive energy that was just coming in that class, and just the folks. I mean, it just must have been so contagious and just challenging. And it was everything. It sounds like it even exceeded your expectations.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I really didn't know what to expect.
Right.
I knew it would be amazing, but I had no idea how amazing.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome. We got Gail dropped another great comment. We've got Gary. Hey, Nicole Donnelly's
here.
So Nicole says, kudos to your coach for challenging you to stay focused on growth and pushing you to work that fills your bucket. That is just so awesome. Nicole, you and Kathy absolutely need to connect. Nicole is just a dynamo. Kathy, you guys would just totally hit it up. So let's slide into the book. Okay. And man, all right, guys, you have to go out and get her book. So first off, Kathy, where did you come up with this awesome name? So you have a co-author, Shannon, your partner in crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Talk about, where did you guys come up with the name? And so I know I'm not supposed to do this. I'm going to ask you a couple questions at once. How did you, let me go back before you come into the name.
Okay.
Where did you and Shannon share with everybody? I was kind of following, the both of you, but share with everybody how you guys became partners in crime and how this book came, your career together. Then let's lead up to the name of the book.
Okay. So I had met Shannon when I was in the global role.
Yep.
For lean and quality for the $12 billion diversified industrial.
Yep.
And I was going around, and I went to her division to do a review of the division. I did not know her. She was in supply chain. She was a supply chain leader at the time. And again, I was always traveling with all men, because I was the only female in those types of positions. And they were always, giving me trouble about the size of suitcases that I would pack, and I'm like, look, I have to accessorize. I can't just show up and, three white shirts and black pants and whatnot. So they challenged me on this one trip to be able to pack and carry on. So I did, which meant I could not bring my safety shoes. So when I got to her division, we go through the division review, and we're going to go on the plant floor. And I said, I need to borrow some safety shoes. I didn't pack them because of these guys, their challenge. So they take me out to their, cabinet full of Guess safety shoes. As you can imagine, they're all men's shoes. And then they had those plastic, or I'm sure they're steel, clod hopper things that don't go over your shoes, and I think are not as safe. You know what I mean? It's just regular shoes.
Yeah, you want to fall down.
At least for someone who's a little bit clumsy. So she was walking by, and she said, Kathy, you can borrow my shoes. And fortuitously, we both wore the exact same size. So steel toes is part of our origin story. And when I decided I needed to get off the road and not be in a different time zone, as I had been doing for 5 years, because I was getting super grumpy, and I went and ran the division, she applied to be my lean manager on my staff. And I thought, oh my gosh, anybody who is brave enough to apply to be the lean manager from the former corporate vice president of lean, she's got the job. So Steel Toes and Stilettos is the name of our book. So shoes are a big part of our origin story. And we just use a lot of analogies in that. So she had left her corporate job. I had gone back to school and left my corporate job. We were together and we were really reflecting on the time we had been together and the success of that transformation. And there could have been champagne involved. I don't know, but we thought possibly, we should write a book.
Yeah.
And I thought the next morning, we would both wake up to the reality of, we're not going to write a book. That's silly.
Right.
And she called me and she said, I dreamt about it all night and I have a name for our book, Steel Toes and Stilettos. And 6 months later, we had a manuscript.
Wow. That is absolutely awesome. Now Damon, I'm going to share a couple of comments about Kathy's book, if you don't mind. So
there we go.
All right. Inspiring, important story. Breakthrough publication is required reading if one is serious about building a diverse, world-class organization. Speaks to the heart of business leaders. Incredible book, excellent blueprint. Highly recommend. So good, great read. I have one more that I want to share. I love this one. Okay, let me make sure I get it right. Don't be fooled by the shoes. That's how it starts. Don't be fooled by the shoes. With an unapologetically female voice, Kathy and Sharon take you on the plant floor and show you what it really takes to execute a lean transformation. Kathy, well done, man. You guys, you absolutely, I think we dropped it in the link in the chat box. You guys absolutely need to go out, grab this book on Amazon. I believe it's on Kindle version. You can get the hard copy. It's great. The holidays are around the corner. Throw it in people's stockings, if you will. Send it out for gifts. But Kathy, talk about what was the so if people are out there and it's a bucket list of theirs that like, hey man, I know I've got a book inside of me. I would love to get a book out. Talk about the process of writing a book from your perspective.
Yeah, so we didn't know anything about it at the time. I also loved to write, actually, and didn't get to do too much of that during my career because of running plants. I was kind of busy. So I loved writing. And so we started talking about, how it's a little non-traditional because you really get two books in one. You get the same transformation process from my perspective as a general manager and hers as a lean transformation advisor. So we put it together and then we went online and sent book proposals to different companies.
Nice.
Yeah. And Mark DeLuzio had published a number of books. So he was kind enough to introduce us to his publisher. So it was, just really following a non-traditional process and just trying to find our way.
Nice. I tell you, getting your master's degree during COVID and, at Penn of all places, very transformational. Writing a book to me, it's like Damon talking about hitting those 7 peaks without oxygen, running that marathon. Share with folks the sense of accomplishment of you and Shannon of getting that book on the market and just again, these comments. I think I'm not sure if I said this one. I've never said this before. This is a must read for business leaders. I mean, when you hear these comments like this and you feel like you're changing lives, how does that make you feel?
Well, it does feel good. I have to say, if Shannon and I always said, if just one person benefited from it, if one person, it gave them the confidence, to try to go into manufacturing and be a leader and be their authentic selves, then it's worth it. But people were very kind with their reviews, and we're really grateful. We're really grateful for people taking time to read it and get it in the hands of people who may not have a role model or a mentor that looks like them.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So let's slide into, we've talked a lot about women in manufacturing, going back to your career when you started, viewing you as a pioneer. Let's talk about today. You're, Women in Manufacturing Hall of Famer. You are an advocate for women in manufacturing. So let's talk to, Damon and I both were girl dads. And, his daughter's starting out her career. Mine's still in school. But speaking to these young women out there, talk a little bit about the incredible opportunities in manufacturing for women today.
Oh, there's so many, no matter what you're interested in, right? You can be interested in being an accountant and work near manufacturing. You can be in HR and work in manufacturing. If you have good problem solving skills or you're technically inclined, and you just like people's and processes. I mean, there's literally room for everybody in manufacturing. And if you get in an organization that has a great inclusive culture, the sky is the limit. It really is. I didn't know anything about manufacturing. My dad was in sales. So for me, it was discovering a whole new world. You know how sometimes people follow, in the footsteps. So I would definitely give people, encourage them to go look at it, take tours. The technology is amazing and it's moving so rapidly.
Right.
And you are making tangible things that are making the world a better place.
Right.
There's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it.
I mean, how many times did you just because every time I'm in a manufacturing facility and I see what's coming out the back end, and I don't care if it's a little piece of something or other or a big something final assembly. Did you just get a huge sense of pride just seeing that product?
Every time.
That product?
Yeah, every time. And some things you're not making the end product, right? You're making some components or that sort of thing. So I always found it was really important to invite our customers in and help the workforce understand what this little, black round object did and how it made the world a better place. It really helped people connect with how, they're making a difference in the world. So I always recommend that as well. But yeah, you're so proud. I mean, yes, you start with raw materials and you come out with something that's going to make somebody's life better. You're going to go into a air conditioning unit that helps at Children's Hospital. I mean, there's just, it's amazing the things that are happening. And yeah, you're just so proud and you're so proud of the people and their accomplishments and what they can contribute. It's just lovely. It really is.
I absolutely love that. And so just to kind of recap, Kathy, what you mentioned, so like technology, we're talking automation, robotics, let alone, we've got a bunch of marketers here today. We've got Nicole Donnelly drops the title of your book is super catchy. Whitney drops a comment, our friend Katie always talks about that, the opportunities of manufacturing outside actually operating a machine. Karen's here today. Karen, thank you for joining us. You can even be a chef in manufacturing.
Yes.
There's just so much opportunity out there in manufacturing. Our marketers, we talk e-commerce here in this show. There's social media. It's not grandma and grandpa's manufacturing anymore, is it, Kathy? There's just, a lot of new and exciting opportunities. Do you feel like, you're going out to trade shows, you're on you're just a fierce advocate on LinkedIn here for manufacturing. As you're out on the streets, are you feeling a renaissance or what are you feeling with U.S. manufacturing right now?
I really am. And I think that, with supply chain challenges that came with the pandemic, I think people are looking to onshore things again. And so there's just, a great opportunity to start new businesses. We've been at a lot of conferences where they're helping startups, and there's just a great energy there right now. And the more diverse people that we get into manufacturing, the more competitive we can be.
Yep.
Absolutely. And Damon, that was a drop of the mic moment right there, because
it really was.
It is such a competitive advantage for us here in the United States. We have the melting pot that most other places don't have. And, if we could just take advantage of this, be half full and just keep, firing on all cylinders to drive this. Now, Kathy, I want to talk about your new company. Now, first off, before I get into your new company, Kathy, for goodness gracious, do you sleep? We get these overachievers on this program, and I'm like, I'm going to get off the show, and I'm going to be like, Curt, what have you done for the past 30 years? Goodness gracious, a couple master's degrees, Ivy League, writing a book, global director. My goodness, Kathy, thank you. God bless you for everything that you're doing. But you're the president and co-founder of Ops Sisters. You've had this amazing, incredible, a who's who corporate career. My goodness gracious, General Motors, Rolls-Royce, everybody that we've talked about today. What inspired you to take the leap of faith into entrepreneurship? And please share what are your superpowers at Ops Sisters?
That's such a fun question. So what took the leap of faith for me was the master's degree. It really did change my life in terms of perspective and really looking at my energy and where I was spending my all my energy.
Mhm.
And I was so blessed to work for 4 really good companies, but I really felt like they have so many resources, and I really wanted to make sure that other companies, smaller companies, medium-sized companies, had the benefit of learning about inclusive culture. So I wanted to spend my energy helping a lot of companies, not just one company. So that's why I took that leap of faith. So, and all my daughters are through college, so I financially could take the risk. I don't want to, I don't want to lie. That was a piece of it.
Yeah.
And just being able to work on passion projects and working on a couple other books that I want to get out there. And just, when you're working for a corporation, it's 40 to 60 hours of dedication. And it's even more than that, right? With constant connectivity. So I needed to free up a little bit of energy to have a little bit wider scope. And so I think our superpowers that we have in Ops Sisters, I always said I had 2 superpowers in manufacturing. One was being able to see when people didn't have their safety glasses on. I was the only person in multi-million square foot facilities who could actually notice that. But my second superpower was seeing strengths in people that they didn't see themselves and giving them an opportunity to unleash those.
That's awesome.
And so now, that we work with companies, Shannon and I we just have a lot of experience. So we see a lot of things. We've been in a lot of places, so we can help those companies take things to the next level. I work as a coach. I've got my certification pending on that from the International Coaching Federation to help people like my coach help me, to live to their full potential. And we're really enjoying and getting a lot of energy at speaking engagements and sharing our stories and trying to inspire and motivate the next generation of manufacturing leaders, regardless of gender. So that's what I think our superpowers are now. And I can still go into a plant and see if someone's sneaking on their cell phone or their safety glasses.
In their safety glasses. I absolutely love it. So, all right, there's 2 things I want to unpack right there. So first, I want to talk about that leap of faith of entrepreneurship. I want to hit that. And then second, I'm going to come back to you. I want to take a deeper dive on Ops Sisters and who you're working with, type of client, and again, those superpowers that you're unleashing on folks. But I love what you said about that second superpower you had on helping people realize, maybe their full potential. Great leaders develop what? Great leaders. So hats off to you, Kathy. And again, I respect and admiration for you. Look at that. Seeing strengths in people they don't see themselves. This is a massive superpower, servant leadership at its finest. Drop the mic, Nicole, right? That's what we're saying on that comment right there, Kathy. So again, I feel I'd be remiss if we didn't take a deeper dive into your corporate, into entrepreneurship. Say somebody out there, they've been, hey, I've been corporate for decades, longing, dreaming someday to get out of this corporate umbrella and take that leap. Okay. And again, take us there. How that first day, that first week, you don't have the corporate safety, if you will. What did that feel like truly flying your own flag for the first time?
Yeah, it's a really vulnerable feeling. You go to cocktail parties and people are like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I used to be the global director of all the defense plants for Rolls-Royce.
So when people ask their daughters, hey, what does mom do? Well, when she worked at General Motors, I was pretty clear. When she was at Rolls-Royce, she had a title. Right now, I have no idea what she does.
Right. So,
share a little bit on that.
Yeah, it's, so I had to really get comfortable with my pitch, right, of who I was now in this next phase. So it really started as having to have a place for the book, and what do we do with the book is how it started. But just being comfortable with, I don't have a big fancy title of a company or my own personal title. And so that was really, even that you're talking about it, I feel that little pit in my stomach because it's really, a total different identity.
Yeah. Totally. I can't imagine that's why I'm hitting it hard because, I've never had a corporate career myself. Damon, you work for another manufacturers, but to work for, Fortune 100 companies and to go down to like, a team of, it's you and Shannon and, spreading your superpowers out. So again, all right. So thank you for sharing that. So again, if there's anybody out there that wants to take that leap, or man, you're just super inspired by this conversation, please connect with Kathy on LinkedIn. You want to buy her book. Kathy, let's slide in. I want to take a little deeper dive on Ops Sisters. Type of manufacturer, like who's the manufacturer that's out there? Like who's like, boy, I really need to talk to Kathy. Let's walk through that process of who you help, how you help them. What's that look like?
Yeah. So a lot of individuals contact me to become coaching clients. So, and I work with anyone from first line supervisors through senior leadership positions.
Yep.
And so it just depends on their goal. So I do a lot of that. We do a lot of speaking events, right? Corporate events, conferences. So any company of any size, but the ones that we're working with and advising are small, I would say small to medium companies or small divisions within large companies. I've got a program, that efficacious manufacturing program, where at one of my clients, I have a 12-session group coaching class that I go through with their first line supervisors. And we talk about optimism and character strengths and standard work and problem solving and all those things that really help develop the first line. Sometimes like at a General Motors or a Rolls-Royce, the supervisors almost always come from some level of educational background. Sometimes at smaller companies, people will start to work on the machines, and then, they're dependable and smart and loyal, and they get promoted, but they don't have the same level of development. So we love to work with those teams of people because they influence so many direct employees. So we want to make sure they've got the development and the strengths to help them succeed, whether it be through the lean principles, lean manufacturing principles, leadership principles of just how to help them succeed and be resilient in what can be a challenging environment. So, and then we've got companies who ask us to come in and just talk to their teams, talk to their HR teams, talk to their manufacturing teams, talk to their women in manufacturing. I've got a keynote that I do on gratitude that involves a story of one of my daughters that really helps people. Gratitude is really powerful, really has nothing to do with lean manufacturing, right? So it's, those two areas, the science of human flourishing and good, sound manufacturing principles. And like I said, if you don't have a corporate program, that's where we can help with training and observations and teaching teams.
Wow. Connecting those two things together is incredible.
Okay, Kathy. So on our program, we have what we call the moment of silence.
Yeah.
So when our guest just drops like this massive bombshell, and we just need to take a moment to just kind of like savor it for a second. We can't fly by it. We can't go past that. So we talk frequently. We use the phrase radical gratitude. How can you live a life in radical gratitude? Like in anything, like even like your mistakes, negativity. Boy, I had a little fender bender today. How can you find those positive positive response to even, tough situations? So that word gratitude, that was our moment of silence. Damon, that was just phenomenal. Okay, Kathy, oh my God, this is so, you know what? I knew this was going to be great, Kathy. I didn't know it was going to be this good, but I should have known. So, okay, you shared a lot, and what a gift, what a blessing for a small manufacturer. Maybe I'm a mom and pop. I have 50 employees, 100 employees, and I'm not sure the size that you target, maybe even, 400 or 500, but to have the wealth of information, the knowledge, the expertise, the passion of yourself and Shannon coming into a smaller manufacturer that you can bring like that corporate expertise in. I mean, are your clients just like hugging you, loving you, or what? Like,
we have some really
gratitude, or what's going on there?
We have some really amazing clients. We do. We do. And we're starting to gather other people so we can take on more clients, besides just Shannon and myself. So those partnerships are starting to come along as well. But
I love
we're very grateful for our clients. and their willingness to let us come in and help.
And it's, and we just, you have such a radiant smile. We just kind of just feel your passion coming right through the screen of working with your clients. What an inspiration you are to go from major corporate into entrepreneurship. And again, like your mission is about serving. You're living in gratitude and you're serving and you're out there helping manufacturers. We're talking Made in USA. I want to be mindful of your time. I've totally lost track of time. Damon, where are we? We just hit 50 minutes. On your LinkedIn profile is a thing called Sons of the Flag.
Yes.
And I would love, can you share, like, this sounds powerful is what I'm reading. Can you share what is Sons of the Flag?
Yeah, it's a not-for-profit that helps people. It started as helping veterans, but it's helping burn victims and helping raise funds to get more scholarships for doctors to go in and help people who suffer from physically being burned.
So if I can go there, is there what inspired you to, like, there's a lot of different missions on the planet. You chose this one. Is there a particular reason that you chose Sons of the Flag?
They chose me.
They chose you. Okay.
They chose me. And quite honestly, my brother is associated with it.
Okay.
And they were wanting to diversify the board. And so he said she's got a lot of corporate experience and a lot of other things. So that's how I got involved with them.
Nice.
It's all about relationships, right? Who and how you can help make the world a better place through the people that you're lucky enough to bump into on this spinning ball through space.
That's right. So, all right, let's just recap that and then we'll wind down, Kathy. So we have someone that just crushed it in corporate, when it was a pioneer, went into a dude's industry, if you will, under dad's wishes. You wanted to go one path, you listened to dad, you took another path, and I think it all worked out. You just took a little detour to get that psychology degree, just a little one, right?
Little one.
You brought your passion, your superpowers to the automotive world, and the automotive world is better because of it. You guys did an amazing job. You write a book. You go get your master's degree at an Ivy League school. You've done such amazing things, and now on top of it, you're helping. That nonprofit just really sung to me. I just really admire, respect what you're doing there. So, Kathy, my last question for you. First off, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for just being so amazing, such an inspiration. I know everybody, guys in the chat box, if drop a hello, drop a thank you for this quality time that we just got to spend and just learn from Kathy this past hour. But Kathy, my last question for you is everything that you have going on. You're such an inspiration. Who inspires you? And then I'm gonna piggyback that with what's next. Who inspires you, and what's next for Op Sisters? What's next for Kathy Miller? So who inspires you today, and what's next for you?
So I look to my daughters. I have 2 daughters and 3 stepdaughters, or bonus daughters, as we now talk about. And I'm so inspired by how they have all chosen their unique paths and are making the world a better place. And just that next generation that's coming up, there's just so many good things in the world. I know there's a lot of challenges right now, but I know with their education and their passion, the world's going to continue to be a wonderful place. So I'm inspired by all of them. Nice. And what's next is, continuing on the path we're on and writing another book.
Another book. Can you give us a sneak peek?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a book that's about transcendence.
Nice.
And it's a little bit, there's 2. There's one, I want to take my thesis about efficacious manufacturing and turn that into a book and all the interventions that manufacturers can use to create inclusive environments. But I also have a really neat story about my daughter and just some transcendent experiences she had through some challenges and trials that I think could help a lot of people. So those are my 2 passion projects right now.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that is great. So, man, you have to please come back when you have that second book. We're going to have you on the program. We're going to be promoting that next round for you. So, hey, we've got some great comments here. We've got Diane Byer says, how can you make the world a better place? Yes. She said, let's see, what else we got? We've got Nicole, girls rule, girl power, yay for girl moms. And so all sorts of great positive comments here in the chat box today, Kathy. So everybody out there, please do me a favor. Let's stand, rise. Let's give a huge round of applause for Kathy Miller for being just not even a star, being a Hall of Famer today. So Kathy, thank you. Thank you. We salute you. We applaud you. We appreciate you. Keep firing on all cylinders. Be that role model for all of us with girls out there, and get everybody. All the cool kids are going into manufacturing, Kathy. You know that, right?
Of course. Absolutely.
So, all right, Damon, let's wind it down. And I want to give a shout out to everybody that spent time with us today. Whitney, Diane, Nicole, everybody that was here today. Thank you. We appreciate you. And the last, Damon, our parting thought is just like Kathy here today, be someone's inspiration. Just go out there, be someone's inspiration. Just do good, be great. Damon, take it away, brother.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm just going to say that this is so awesome to get to talk to you and really get to meet you like this and listen to you share your stories, and just really excited to see the next books where you're tying this together and some other things. Just thank you so much on that. Thanks everyone for being here. I know we missed a couple names. It got Karen and Gary and others and Samuel. I'm so thankful for you guys showing up, dropping comments, showing our guests that we're here and we're listening and we care about what they've got to talk about. You know, we heard an incredible example of manufacturing leadership here. Someone who's lived it, who's gone through it, and really come out the other side and done a lot of great things. And just thanks so much for everyone, for Kathy being here today. We'll be back again next week. Curt is going to be, where are you going to be, Curt?
It's a surprise, man. I'm going to, well, you know what? I might be going to Alaska next week. So we might be live from Alaska next week, working with manufacturers in the great state of Alaska. So there's a surprise.
Yeah.
We've got a great guest coming up on Monday, but you and I, we might be hitting a couple lives from Alaska next week. So there's some really cool manufacturing going on up there. So, but guys, you have to come back to check it out. So we got a little surprise for you. So how's that?
Yep. Everyone, thanks for being here. Have a great weekend. We'll be back again next week.